So welcome everybody to our textured hair class. My name is Allie Roth and I'm the president and founder of withlove. I'm at the Curly Hair Studio. I am so excited to be here. We are going to do some basic 101 with hair care. We have a beautiful model today. Her name is Tuesday, so she's going to be here modeling for us. But as we get started, I wanted to quickly bring in one of my board members, Shalon, to do a little Q&A session. So come on over here, Shalon. Excellent. Thank you, Shalon.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Shalon has been on our board. She's been a mentor of mine actually before you joined the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's joined our board. And one of the things that I really appreciate our friendship about is that we do coffee, you give me advice on how to run with love, maybe some different situations. And so when I said, hey, we're doing a textured hair event, you said, I'm in. So thanks for being here today.
Yes, absolutely. It was very close by. It didn't take me very long to get here at all.
So one of the things that I wanted to just share with everybody out there is I'm a foster mom myself. I've had 11 kids in 4 years. Quite a bit is through respite, by the way. And my nephew was adopted from Congo, Africa, and he lives with us every summer for a stint of time. And so when he started coming about 5 years ago to stay with us, I had this moment. I looked at Shalon over lunch and I said, I have all this stuff for my son's hair. I don't know if I have the right products. And it was just this look of terror, I think a little bit of like, I want to do right by him, but I don't know what I'm doing. So luckily you're my friend that was like, let me just spell it out for you. So we're going to jump in with some question and answers with me to start with, which is, why do you think withlove needs a textured hair program?
Well, I think it's just really important when you are a foster parent and you might welcome a child into your home that may not look like you and maybe a child of color, and you don't know what to do. So that could make you a little bit worried, right, about bringing that child into your home. And I know for me, when I was in the real world, being able to move around, I got stopped a lot by foster parents asking me, what do you do to your hair? Do you know someone that can do my child's hair? And that really made me think that there's something that withlove could do to help parents make that adjustment and be able to take care of their child's hair.
Well, I think with this, like, this is just a tool in our tool belt, right? Like, we might not do it perfect, but at least we're all going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the child's story, some of them might come in with knowledge about what to do.
Absolutely.
But like, we focus on 0 to 6. And so it's not like a 2-year-old's gonna be like, hey, here's what we need to be doing. So that's a great answer for us. We're trying to give you tools, okay? And today is, again, just one of those options to learn techniques and ideas for you today. So my next question is, what advice would you have for a foster parent who has a child of color in terms of hair care or skincare routines that you would suggest?
I would just say all kids are different, all hair is different, and that is okay. I think give yourself some grace, feel comfortable asking questions. You don't have to know everything. As parents, trust me, we don't know everything. So it's okay to learn. And then just really think about the basics, get the basics down, which hopefully tonight you'll get some basics that you can take and learn. And it's okay to mess up, it's okay. Just give yourself a little bit of grace and time, and everyone's hair is wonderful, whether you have hair, no hair, braided hair, curly hair, straight hair, it's all beautiful. And so we need to celebrate that.
This is why we're friends, everybody. And she's on our board. Like, I just love this answer. Okay, so over lunch, I had some real basic questions. And I thought, if I have these questions, maybe everyone out there has this figured out, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna ask some basic questions that I asked you. First of all, why is lotion so important?
Well, for everyone, especially right now in the winter when the weather is a little bit yucky, skincare is important for everyone. Lotion is important for everyone. It's always this weird thing for people to not know if children of color need that, but absolutely, we all do.
Okay, I love it. So you're telling me I need to put more lotion on?
You need to put some on.
Okay, this is what we're learning today. Okay, everybody. Second of all, do I put sunscreen on my nephew? That was a question that I was like, I don't know the answer to this.
Everyone also needs sunscreen. So if you're not putting sunscreen on your kiddos, you should be. That's really important for all skin colors to have sunscreen. That's a basic.
I love it. After learning this with my kids, all my little ones line up at the pool, you know.
Yes, everyone needs it.
Everyone needs it. I learned that. Okay. And then third, what should you do or even help your kids to talk about when people want to touch your hair? Because I feel like that's something that's like, oh, and it's just they want to go in and touch, and you're like, how do you empower those family members or those children?
I think it's important to know that sometimes people mean well when they're asking things like, can I touch your hair? But you have to understand that for people of color, that may not be comfortable. So just in the best general rule, not to ask that. It just makes it easier for everyone, and be empowering of your children to say, please don't touch my hair. And in the era of COVID, it's okay to not touch anyone right now. So I think it's okay to say, no, thank you.
And it's okay to teach your kids to have that. Not everybody should
have that confidence to not have someone put their hands on you without your permission.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Shalana is going to be continuing with us today. Now, one thing that's tricky, in the past when we were here at the studio, it was, oh, I loved it. I'm an in-person person anyways. And Atoya was like, everybody get up here, come check this out, get involved. And we can't do that in a virtual world. So we're going to be using the chat today. And I know the chat feature isn't always everybody's favorite, but at least it'll get ideas out. So what's going to happen is, as Atoya is teaching, Shalana's going to be there watching the chat, and she's going to be raising her hand and asking those questions for you. So if you know where that chat feature is, it's at the bottom of your screen. My first question to everybody out there as we're just settling in and before we get Atoya up here is, how many children have you had in your home? I'm curious. So go on the chat feature and you might have one, you might have had 20.
I think we have chatted in so far.
Okay, she's gonna go check it out. Actually, we have a wonderful mom today who's here who brought a daughter in. And what's the number for you over there?
I always say 50-ish, but I
50-ish kids in her house.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I am
15
so
years,
impressed.
right? So,
15 years?
Yeah.
Holy
I'm
cow.
seeing 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, 7 over 3 years, 4,
Wow.
12, 7,
Holy cow.
24 plus.
Vanessa's like, I got this one. 24 plus.
34.
Whoa. 34?
That's
This is
so
amazing. This is great. Okay, this chat feature is what we need to get those questions. Last time Atoya was doing an event here, and a mom raised her hand and asked a question saying, my kid goes back and forth with a lot of visits, and the back of the hair gets matted. And I remember hearing Atoya just pause and think, oh, well, let's talk about that. And because these questions help her help you better. And so jumping on there and asking those questions is going to be critical to help us inform you better. Before we get started, I also wanted to point out quite a few you drove through on Monday. Oh my gosh, my team did an amazing job. I was so proud of them with their Shopportunity. And a lot of you got this bag. One of the things I'm so thankful for is Atoya did all this fundraising for these products for you on her own. We partnered with her and talked to her about it, and she said, hey, I would be interested in helping you out. And so she, through her clients, through her Instagram, through word of mouth, so many people fell in love with this idea of the class and love Atoya that she made this happen. So I just want to point out that that's a big deal that Atoya did that. In this bag, there's quite a few things that Atoya will talk you through, because let's be honest, I'm not the expert here, but there are quite a few full-size products in here, which are amazing. Again, compliments of Atoya's community. But another thing I wanted to point out in your bag is that there is this cheat sheet, and it is so helpful because I know all this information is going to be great, but in a week from now, you're going to be like, oh, what was I supposed to do, or what process? We will put this recording on our YouTube channel, so you're more than welcome to come back and rewatch it. But this, and this is not my idea, it was Atoya's idea. I just thought this was such a smart thing to do. So we'll be working through quite a few of the items in this bag. And again, I just wanted to say thank you to Atoya for doing this. So Atoya, can I introduce you? I just love this lady. We have done a couple activities together now because of withlove. I mean, that's how we met.
Yeah.
Can you tell us just even like, how did you get connected to withlove?
Actually, one of my clients, I was doing her daughter's hair.
Okay.
And I think her daughter was a model when you guys had done one the previous year.
Yes, Ryoko.
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
And she was like, oh, there's this thing. And I was like, do they need people? Like, how do I get involved in that? And that's how we connected.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it was literally an Instagram connection. Like you messaged out and
I did. I was like, hey,
okay.
I heard you guys did this class. If you ever need help, just let me know. I didn't even know if you'd write me back or anything. I was just like,
if you don't know this,
so
Atoya is
random.
the queen of curl. Like to get in, like if I was to come see you, it would be months to get in to see you. And so the fact that you guys get this is amazing. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about really quickly before we bring our model in is, you know, you do curly hair. Curly hair is your jam, right?
Yeah.
Is curly hair the right style for everybody 100% of the time?
No. And that's a great thing that we were talking about earlier. It's just, it's complex. I feel like it kind of deep dives, you know, it's like you want to embrace it, but also it has to fit your lifestyle. You have to have the patience for it, the time for it, the money for it. Like, I don't want everyone to feel like you have to do that or your value is not there. You're just as valuable with straight hair as you are curly hair, and it's all beautiful.
I love that. Can you guys see why I enjoy her so much? Like she's got the best answers. Well, without further ado, we are going to have our model. Her name is Tuesday. Come on up, and I'm going to get out of your way and adjust this a little bit, but please be using this chat feature. Shalon is watching right now, ready to ask those questions as we get set up to get going and make sure we can hear you well.
Look at all this hair.
Isn't it amazing?
It's
Welcome,
so
Tuesday.
beautiful. I also want to say, so Tuesday's hair, she takes really good care of it. I could tell just by the way it feels. And she's got, this is the thing, people usually have about 3 different patterns on your head. So if you're noticing like, oh, these curls over here seem really loose, but these ones underneath here, they never seem to, like they tangle up really fast and I can't get them hydrated enough. Just know that that is common and is normal. Some people can have, I've seen like 6 or 7 different patterns on a head of hair, but 3 is kind of the minimum that you're looking for. So when it comes to hair care, patience, 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 because the hair is pretty fragile. The tighter the curl is, the more delicate it is. So I really like to think of it more how you would treat like your finest, sweater or something. Like it's delicate here and you don't just want to be in there ripping it up. Just take your time. Now I know all the moms are like, no, like they're in there just going through it because it takes a lot of time. But if you can be gentle with it and remember that it is delicate and it's prone to breakage, like on the ends. And do you have a tender head?
Yeah.
I feel like most of the time, this is what I notice. The more hair a client has, the more they tell me stories about being tender-headed. My own stepdaughter, huge, like massive hair. And she's very tender-headed. My granddaughter has a big little afro and she's very tender-headed as well. So be mindful of that. Take your time, patience. What we're going to walk through today is the basics, and I'll do some tweaks. Hopefully that will help you guys out. So I'm going to cleanse the hair first. And when we talk about cleansing, I want you guys to really focus on the scalp, because down in here, we don't really need to cleanse as much, right? So down here, we talk about hydrating the hair. When we're talking about the scalp, we're really talking about cleansing. And the more detailed you can get at the scalp, the better, especially if there's a lot of density. Density just means how many hairs per square inch. So if there's a lot there, you really need to section off, work that cleanser right into the scalp. Make sure that that's where you're getting it. Back in here, on probably 90% of my clients, regardless of curly, wavy, coily hair, this area right here is the area we always say it needs a lot of extra love because it tends to get really matted there. My granddaughter, even when she was 1 and 2, wake up in the morning, all of this would look great. And right here was just like smashed in right there. So it's just the area that needs a little bit more help. You can condition it a little bit more. We just pay a lot of attention to it and always say, oh, that's your area that needs a lot of love. Also under here, it's very normal, very common for this to really get knotted and tangly, super easy. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's just the way the hair likes to live. So have grace for yourself, really have grace for yourself. We're gonna cleanse first. And then once we cleanse the hair, I'm gonna show you guys how to hydrate. Hydration to me is like the foundation of everything. And I'm going to teach you guys how we marry water and conditioner together, because if you picture conditioners here, water's always the magic. It's really the star of the whole show. It's everything that is hydration. If you picture like those two meeting right in here, and you'll get to see and hear that sound. I hope you guys can really hear it, that squishy sound. That is how you really nourish the cells and feed inside all the cuticle with water. That's how you get true hydration. So even if it's feeling out here on the outside, like, oh, it seems like this is really dry, that kind of surface dryness, she actually has really good hydration. I can tell, mom says they use a lot of water. So I'm like, yeah, I can feel it. So I'm gonna have her go ahead and come on back. And I'm gonna focus cleansing. So in your bag, you got low poo. Low poo, hope you guys can hear me when this is on. Let us know. Low poo is a mild cleanser. So the main thing you wanna look out for, even if you're needing, you know, for financial, like budget factors, to go to Target or drugstore, just stay away from sulfates. Sulfates can be really drying for the hair. And if you want to, I have a group on Facebook called Curl Insider that only my clients are in. And if you guys want to get in there and ask questions, you can. Don't tell anyone. I let you in. Just say, oh, I was in the class. But that way, if you guys have questions about products later on too, for budget needs, you can definitely ask in there, because I know, you know, it can be expensive when you're needing a half a bottle of conditioner to go through a lot of hair. So the low poo is really gentle. It's got like a 5% coconut derivative that gives it a little bit of a suds to it. And then we're gonna use one condition, and some of you got one with a green lid and there was some with a turquoise lid. The turquoise lid one is a little bit more rich, more heavy, so you might be able to use a little less. The other one you might use a little bit more, or it might be for a finer hair type. We took basically everything they had. It's like,
Claudia, can you say the name of your private Facebook group again?
it's called Curl Insider.
Curl Insider. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
And just write in there, because it'll ask if you're a client of the studio. You can write in there, there's a little space, like, I was in the class, that way it gets accepted.
It's like a secret handshake.
Yes.
Okay,
it
got
is.
it.
I know.
So I'm gonna take, gosh, I don't know if you guys can see how much I'm taking, but really, again, all at the roots. Make sure you're getting it covered down in here. A lot of times when it's heavily textured, you've got to get in, you've got to move your hands through there. You can't just like this and then start doing this. You want to make sure you get on the scalp. And the thing is, friction and water are what really cleanse the scalp. So this motion, if you use your fingertips to really work it into the scalp, that's how you loosen the dead cells. So a lot of times, the whole way through, you'll see me always adding water. So if the little one's in the bath, I might just take a little cup and add like a little water and then move it, a little water and move it. I almost always am adding water to things. I call it a kiss of water because it's not a rinse. You're not trying to rinse it, but your products will move more if you add a little bit of water to it. If you guys could see over here, it is moving a lot more just by adding that little bit of water. So the key thing when you're rinsing it out is to make sure you rinse really well. Because if you're just like this in the shower, then it sits, those suds end up sitting in the hair down here and can be extra drying for the hair. So really, this is the time more than when you do conditioner, because we're not actually going to rinse all the conditioner out. This is when you really want to make sure you are rinsing well. And I do that same motion. So friction on when I'm putting it there, and then friction when I'm taking it off as well. Because you've got to think all of that needs to move through these coils. It's got to move through and out to the bottom. So this is when you take your time making sure those loose cells are moving through.
So Claudia, did you just, it seems like you put it on the scalp, and so you didn't put it all the way through the hair, did you? Or did you work your hands through to the end?
Just on the scalp, yeah.
And how often do you recommend cleansing the hair? Once a week, more or less? It sounds like people have heard a little bit.
A lot of different things
Yep.
conflicting. So it used to be, we were saying go as long as you possibly can, just because it was so much, but scalp health has really come to the forefront lately. And so I like to say at least once a week is pretty safe to say. Since you're doing 0 to 6, I feel like that should be a good barometer, like once a week. Now, if you get it wet daily with a little bit of conditioner and water, it will stay less tangled by getting it wet daily, but you do not have to wash it. Washing, when you're in there cleansing the scalp, you could do that just like once a week. So here's where the key parts really come in. Hydrating the hair. First off, every single conditioner bottle on the planet, I feel like, says, after you've washed the hair, wring out all the water and then put the conditioner in. That is a no. Like, I think for anyone, but especially when you're talking about tight coils or just curls in general. So if you guys could see up close, already it looks like there's dryness in here. So we need to make sure this stays super, super wet the entire time. So what that would look like for a little one is we're gonna coat and scrunch in some conditioner, and then maybe you take a little bit of water and like pour a little right on the head like this, and then more conditioner worked in, pour a little like this. And what you're gonna want is to hear a really squishy sound. If I go into the hair right now and do this, you can't really hear anything, right? So I'll show you guys the difference, how you can work it, that combination until you get that sound. Just talking right there already made it dry out. That's how wet it has to stay. So I'm going to take some conditioner and I'm going to do like a coat. So I'm really coating this onto the hair and I'm going to work it into the hair. This is what I call the marriage of water and conditioner. This is where hydration comes in, because I'm really trying to blend the two together. I'm not worried about detangling it yet. We'll get to detangling, because if you do this, it will help you to detangle it. You can also do, and I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but just give you this little tip. There is something called a pre-poo. A pre-poo is, let's say, bath times at 7. At 5, you take some conditioner, take it through the ends of the hair like this. And then when it's bath time, do the whole wash so that that's had time to sit on there before you ever even get it wet. Will help with tangles as well. I'm adding a little water and I'm going to add some more conditioner. And you're going to notice, do you see how that sound starts to change?
This is a lot of conditioner. Like, we are putting a lot in.
I'm doing, yeah, each time it's like 2 pumps. Now, do it according to how much hair, right, there is. But if you're talking about, she's got a lot of hair, she's got a tighter texture. So if you have a little one whose hair is a little bit less texture, but still coily, just not as much texture in there, you can use accordingly. But yeah, conditioner is like, conditioner and water is your life. That's your new. Once you get that squish in there, if you let it kind of hang out, maybe like bath time, you know, wash their body, let them play, just let it sit. The longer you let it sit, the better for the tangles. because then you can go in and start detangling. Now, the best way to do this is in sections. So sectioning off, the tighter the texture, get some of these like duckbill clips or butterfly clips or something. It'll make it so much easier if you section off behind, like kind of ear to ear. And then you could do this bottom half. You could break that into two. If they're sitting on your lap, I will tell you right now, snacks sitting in your lap with a water bottle. And in that water bottle, you want it to be like predominantly filled with water and then maybe like a 1/4 cup of conditioner. Shake that up, it's your own leave-in. So you don't really have to even have a different product. And spray that on and keep it saturated. Do your sections. It'll just help it keep more control and take your time with it. Versus if you get in there and really just try to do it all, it can be overwhelming. So if you take it in sections, it can be helpful. I might sit you up with this around you so that people can see some of the detangling at the bottom here. Does that feel awkward to sit like that?
No, it's okay.
Okay, just let me know.
Did you wash out any of the conditioner when you just did that?
No.
Or were you just merging it?
Yeah,
Okay.
just combining it. That's why I call it a kiss of water. I'm really not trying to rinse it out. Now, you'll hear a lot of people say finger detangle, which back in the day, starting off with Curl Specialty, that's all we said. But that is not real. That is not life. It's not happening for anyone. Get yourself a wide tooth comb. There are lots of wet brushes, detangling brushes. There's this one recently, these have been going around. This is called the Felicia Leatherwood. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but they literally break up like this and they'll go through and kind of clump things together. But a good wide tooth comb, I mean, I think these are pretty affordable. You can get them anywhere. I might have got this one at Dollar Tree. Start at the bottom and then you're gonna work your way up. The reason you're starting at the bottom is because if you start in here, trust me, you won't get through to it. And you want to be really delicate so that we're not just ripping it and breaking the hair. If you find that you're getting really stuck, reach for some water, put in a little conditioner, and work that through. You do want to get all the way to the scalp. Because if you miss this little area down in here, you're going to get even more tangly. And thank you guys for detangling. I could tell it's like so nice. You're probably like, oh my gosh. I know, because real life sets in.
Is there any questions, Shalana? Do people want to ask some questions at all? They're coming through.
There wasn't a way to write anything extra when someone tried to join the Facebook group. Is there any other guidance you could provide?
Really? Gosh, I didn't even know
I'll
that.
try
You
to
guys
on
don't
my
even
phone
know
and see
how
what
to
it
write
gives
my
me.
own.
I'll try it.
Maybe just put, there's a question, if you took one of my courses, just say yes.
If there's a question about if you want to join one, if you've taken
If
one
you
of
took one of
if you
my
took one of the
online
online
courses.
classes, then say yes. Okay.
Yes.
Give it a shot and let us know if it works.
Once I go through and detangle a section, I will take a little bit more conditioner. And I'll take that on that section and kind of finger, can you see how I'm taking my fingers through? But only once it's detangled. And it's okay to get right up next to that scalp too. I wish you guys could see how pretty this looks. Maybe when we get over there, you can see how really juicy it looks. So pretty. I love that contrast. It's like really pretty. I'm actually gonna grab my water bottle really quick. I had it here. There it is. Because I want it to stay wet. I feel like she's already drying out. Like by the time you
quickly.
oh, yeah, I mean, it's
Second, you turn the water off.
within
Oh
seconds.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Now, this water bottle, your first training, didn't you give one out similar to these water bottles?
Yeah, I had a bunch of them. They're called Flarasols, and I love them, but literally can't find them right now at any of the warehouses. I mean, I went to all of them.
So a regular water bottle would do.
Yes.
In the meantime, okay, this is good
Yes.
to know.
Did it let you?
Yeah, it was just saying pending. So I said
Oh,
yes
yeah.
to both questions and
Good.
away I went.
So Gail, once the tangles are out, I take some conditioner and really
And for Tuesday, this will last her approximately, did you say around a week?
yeah.
That you said, so conditioner can go pretty fast is what I'm watching happen.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah,
well, this is good, what to know to stop it with love.
it is. And really, yeah, when you do, it's been the complaint with hair care companies when, especially when they're marketed towards the Black community and it's like, you get the conditioner bottle and it's
Mhm.
like this and you're like, okay, that's literally one wash, you know? So this one, this size is kind of a retail, it should last a while, but the big pump bottles. How often do you guys go through? Like, what's your,
It can last a long time for me personally.
I mean, look at that.
Can you say, can you look
So
over here?
pretty. I love it. Wow. So pretty. It's so rewarding for me. And let me just say this, which since most of you are doing little ones 0 to 6, she likes her hair really curl controlled, not poofy at all. So probably in that age range, or for some of you who may have kids who are a little bit older, that's usually the thing. You don't want to have it, you want to get it as curl defined as possible. And conditioner water is really that key. Now gel can hold it there. Like if we sectioned off and did this exact kind of routine using gel and raking through, you would get a longer hold with the curl retention. However, it might be a little bit crunchy, it might not break down. So that'll depend on if you like a little bit more hold, you want it to last a little bit longer, you rake through a gel, which I'm thinking we might do a little bit of that on you today. But you can absolutely just do conditioner water, and conditioner water is your only styler. There is no styler. You could do conditioner, water, rinse all of that out, and then do just a leave-in conditioner as your styler. But for little ones like my granddaughter, honestly, it's a whole lot of braids. Little braids right here, lots of conditioner and lots of water. Just to make it easy and last longer.
What about a mousse? Would a mousse be softer or less crunchy? Would mousse be an option instead of the
Then
gel?
a gel. Mousses tend to give volume to the hair. That's what mousses are generally used for. So there are some soft mousses out there. I know there's one called The Dew that you can get at Target. They are an amazing brand, Black-owned company. And it comes out looking like a mousse, but it's actually more of like a leave-in styler mousse. So if it's that consistency, but it's made as a leave-in, then I would do it. But otherwise, just getting like a regular mousse, I would say would cause a little bit more frizz. You could always do a cream if you want it to be a little softer.
Now, Toya, are you pulling it all on Tuesday's head in terms of getting it down?
Yes.
You're doing that, and so that's, we probably Tuesday's probably not the most comfortable, but that's sort of what's gonna happen. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, I am working through it. Like I'm really being intentional with going in there, and those strands are just, I'm kind of smoothing it when I bring it all the way down. The next part after this that we're gonna do, you guys, is called a drizzle rinse. Now, I need to say a lot of things about the drizzle rinse. The drizzle rinse means we barely rinse. Like, I could do this right here and maybe not even rinse, just hit it with a little bit of water, leave all of that in there, and it would be fine in this climate. However, I have lots of friends who are curl specialists in other parts of the country because climate really plays a role. Water, hard water plays a role, where in different climates, you know, if you go visit, say in Florida, South Carolina, you're gonna wanna rinse it all out because the conditioner will just stay in there and stay wet the whole entire time. And that's not great for it. If you put in something really heavy, like if you're using a conditioner that comes like in a tub, in a round tub, and it's really thick, you're gonna wanna rinse it all out. But these conditioners that were put in your bag are pretty milky consistency. They're very lightweight. Because we've mixed them with water the whole time and kind of created this faux leave-in consistency, you're totally fine with leaving it in. You just want to make sure nothing's really left on the scalp, because again, the scalp, we cleanse the scalp and we hydrate the hair. But I can leave actually quite a generous amount of this in her hair, because trust me, her hair is going to eat it in about 2 seconds. So I feel like curls are really similar, like to plant life, right? Like you go and you look at it and the surface can be really dry. And then when you water it, so we nourish the hair from the inside out, we water it and it gets down into that cuticle and it kind of absorbs the moisture from it. Sorry about the squeaky shoes. It's because we have gel all over the floor, you know? That's the way it works. It's just real loud.
So I have a quick chatted in question. There's a couple about nighttime routines, but I think we'll get there. So what about everyday maintenance in between washes? So for this person chatting in, by the end of the day, her little guy's hair is a little bit frizzy and not as defined, especially in the back and bottom of his head.
Yes. So the answer to that is totally normal, totally common, especially if they're running around playing. Normal for it to get frizzy or knotted up. You can try leaving in more conditioner water combo like this. You could try raking through a gel to give it a little bit more definition, but here's the main thing. All of those things are great to try out, but there really comes an acceptance and embracing like, oh, we really treat hair that's coily and textured. It's not going to perform like straight hair is. It is different. So I would say try a little bit more conditioner water combo, try a little gel on top, but also just know that especially a 2, 3, 4-year-old running around playing, it's really, that's just gonna happen. It kind of comes with the territory. I love that.
Beautiful.
So pretty. So what we're gonna do now is I'm literally just gonna hit this with a little bit of water, right? And I wanna tell you guys, there's a couple ways you can add gel if you choose to. There is just coating it on, which is the fastest way. And by coating it on, I'll have you come back up just for a second. Okay, so let's say I drizzle rinse this, which I'm going to. You take a little bit of gel in your hands. And coating is really on the outside, like you're frosting a cake, right? And you can really coat the hair like this, saturating all the way down to the ends and let it dry like that. I would not even, a lot of times you'll hear, and even on the bag, it says flip coat scrunch. Do not scrunch. This is just coat, right? Because I want the hair, this hair is already gonna scrunch up. That's more for like a curly or wavy, more like my own hair. So that's the fast way. That's like lifestyle. Like you gotta go, so you're just gonna like, it's in sections and you're kind of smoothing it on each section. And that's the quick way. There is a video in Curl Insider in the video sections. If you go down, I don't know where it's at, a couple years, my stepdaughter who has really heavily textured hair gets in the shower and does a whole live routine of what her hair is like. So you'll be able to see she really takes the gel and just like, it's quick because she's got to get to life. She can't be doing all day hair. If you want to take smaller sections, you kind of drizzle rinse and rake through however many sections you want to take. Okay, I'm gonna have you come on back. And like I said, play around with the drizzle rinse amount. Do not go put like 2 tubs of, conditioner in the hair and then be like, oh, Toya said leave it all in. No, make sure you play around with this. That happens a lot with my clients. I'm like, oh no, like this is like very milky consistency. And it's okay. You don't want to just load it down. Really, I just want to make sure if anything got on the scalp that it's not there, but I'm not concerned about the rest of it. Her hair is going to be like this, like a sponge. Now, if you really want it to not frizz at all, again, compare this with your life, right? Like you got to be out the door. The best thing to do, have your little one just give a little shake like this and let it, not even touch it with anything. Like give the shake, make it something fun. A lot of times we're like, oh, I always tell my granddaughter, pretend you're like a wet puppy that gets out of the pool. And she's just like, like this. That is the best. If you can just not really touch it and shake that excess water out, it'll dry faster than you think. It might not dry in the interior, but on the outside, you'll be surprised that it can dry up really quick. But for realistic sake, if that doesn't happen, take a t-shirt, or a lot of times people use they're like kitchen towels, but they're
Tea towels or?
yeah, like a tea towel kind of thing, a microfiber towel. But personally, I always just use t-shirts because it's just easy and there's a million of them everywhere. And you can scrunch if it's your little one like this, scrunch. If little teeny curls, if you want them to kind of jump up a little. But if it's hanging a little and you want it to be elongated a little, I like to press. So you'll take the t-shirt and kind of press. We're going to press hers because she likes it very curl controlled, and I don't want to make it spring up any more than it already is. But first, I am going to do some gel. How are we doing on time and questions?
Do you have any questions coming in?
We're still doing final questions. The questions that we have remaining are about nighttime routines and keeping curls from
Okay.
getting flattened in the middle of the night
Okay.
and wrapping the hair and all that.
Perfect. So good on time, so I can put some gel in here, or should I? How are we doing on that? Okay, perfect. Okay. So I am gonna take a little bit of gel. People are really scared of gel, I have to say. People are intimidated because I don't know what area you're from, but usually people just think 1980s bad perm, okay, like crunchy and gel is like a whole new vibe nowadays. But like I said, you can leave this, and honestly, I'm thinking with my granddaughter, most of the time, the only time gel really happens is if like pictures are being done or something like that, which in COVID, I don't know how many galas you're going to, but we'll just pretend. So I'm gonna take just a little bit of gel, and I'm really just gonna smooth it on like this, because I don't want to break up all that work I just went through and did.
Do you have a favorite gel brand?
So if we're talking drugstore, I would totally get ousted from the entire curl community for saying this. I mean, the curl specialist, but Dippity Doo is like the favorite in here.
Okay.
Dippity Doo is what Summer was wearing tonight when you came in,
Her hair was divine.
isn't it?
Yes,
She is
beautiful.
one of the girls who works here, and she has amazing hair. Dippity Doo seems to be a client favorite. Kinky Curly is also, I believe you can get it like at Target and lots of different places. They have a curling custard that's really a great gel.
What about from a supply store? What would your favorite gel be?
Oh, I love Diva Curl Archangel. Looks like this. And the one I'm using on her is my daughter's favorite. And it's by a brand called Mazzani. And it's actually their twist and coil jelly. So you could use this for twist out as well.
I bet there's a lot of trial and error in this, and finding what works best for your hairstyle.
There absolutely is.
Yeah.
And just because it works on someone else's curl pattern texture, you can try it like, oh, because there's so many things that come into play with finding just the right ones for you. Now this one, like I said, it does stay a little bit crunchy, whereas the Archangel won't, but it's not a bad crunch, and it does have longevity to it, and it smells amazing. So, and this one, every year I will test a bunch of products, of course, in here. I'll test them on myself. And then my stepdaughter does a whole trial, and then we'll pick like, okay, what were your favorites of the whole year? This has been hers consistently for probably the last 4 years.
You have had your fingers in Tuesday's hair so much. Like this is not look like a quick, like, okay, you're done. Like I just see you keep raking, and is that the right word?
Yes.
Going through and go. So this is a process, like when you commit to it.
It is. It is. And that is what I really do want to encourage everyone to know, like going in, like have patience, use this as a bonding time. I mean, there's rich history and memories in having your hair done. I don't think we do it as much now, but that is an excellent bonding time. It really builds trust. Not that the little one's gonna love that so much, because that's also the flip side of it. My granddaughter the other night, in fact, wouldn't even let me, like, no, she wanted to do my hair. She didn't want me to touch her hair the whole time. So, but we do snacks. That'll be the one time, like, oh, well, when you get your hair done, that's when you get screen time, like stuff to really, make sure you're in there. And I know it seems like a lot of work when you're doing it, and it is. I don't want to take away from that, but if you spend that time and really nourish it, it does instill this thing of confidence. And I feel like it's an important thing that we've lost. I feel like doing hair with your child like that it's such a bonding experience. And I could just be nerding out because this is what I love to do. So it feels very like, oh, the hair's so delicate, but it really is. And I think it's super important.
And she now knows how to take care of her hair for the future too. which is great.
Yes.
Like, to have it be a ritual, you
Yes.
learn too. So like, that's great. I have a chatted in question about wavy curls.
Yes.
What's the best way to put the gel on? To rake it or coat?
No raking on waves. So like on my hair, as a wavy, if you have little ones with wavy hair, if you rake it through, a lot of times it breaks it up and you won't get to enhance as much curl. So you definitely want to coat that and really scrunch that in because you're encouraging more curl.
And here is one more, is putting gel in a daily thing. For instance, if we are putting in conditioner in with water every day, should we put gel in afterwards every day too?
I wouldn't, because gel has memory. So as soon as the water hits it, even though you're mixing down with the conditioner ratio isn't going to be quite as much on that day 2 as it is on day 1. A lot of times if you keep adding gel to the hair, it just builds up and it's not a good thing. So I would just do gel on the day when you're doing your whole wash. And then when you're kind of just going back in and doing what we call a co-wash, which is really just using conditioner and water, it'll reactivate. Most gels on the market now have like muscle memory to it, like it'll pop back up. Good. Okay. Do you guys notice I'm not even really pressing? So I could press a little towel around, and maybe if you did like a little butterfly clip, if they'll allow you, and just kind of letting it do its thing is really best because it's going to dry and it's going to swell already on its own. So we just want to, it's very fragile, but especially when it's wet, that's when you don't want to touch the hair as much. Like once it's set, like leave it alone as much as you can. And I don't even need to press. You would need to press out more if it was dripping all over. You don't want to leave them dripping, but her hair is not dripping already. So we can just let it set like that. So yeah, what kind of questions do you guys have?
So maybe let's hit that those nighttime.
Yeah, let's do that.
Questions do we have? What's the best way to keep the curls from getting smashed at night? There were some questions about silk bonnets and other bonnets. What would you recommend for sleeping?
Both of those. Silk and satin bonnets are great. You can also do pillowcases because the kids usually just rip them right off. So just get a little pillowcase. Especially for textured hair, that's when I would say it's like heavily textured. That's more when it's important because it'll keep it from frizzing up overnight. At 0 to 6, I probably wouldn't wrap it. I would just get that pillowcase so that it's less. Yeah, for that age, that's what I would do. I wouldn't worry so much about having the bonnets. Now, if you're talking about getting a little bit older, then you can talk about actually wrapping with silk, which is a whole art form in and of itself. But when they're that little, I think just the silk or satin like pillowcase is the best.
Okay, so I think we have a couple more gel questions. I'm stick on the gel questions. Do you add gel in when the hair is dripping wet or just damp?
Dripping wet is awesome. Dripping wet for everything is awesome. Like the more wet, the better, because you're trapping the water. And the water is always the magic. So the more water you can keep in there, the more you nourish it. The more you move away from water, it's like you're running in this circle because when you move away from the water, the hydration's already left the building, right? And then you're just taking a bunch of heavy oils and butters and you're trying from the outside to like control it all, where if you nourish it with water from the inside out, it'll be much easier to take care of.
All right, this next question, I feel this question. Tips for sensitive scalps.
Yes. Oh man. Okay, I will say I'm pretty gentle. Did you think I was gentle? You don't just have. So, yeah, it's really, when you're holding the hair here and you're detangling here, there is a way to practice where you're not just ripping. You're like holding this pretty tense and this is loose next to the scalp. And over here, you can be going at it. But that's really an art form in learning how to hold, and they're probably gonna squirm and be tender-headed with a lot of hair. Yeah, I wish there was a better tip for that, but it's like, you have sensitive scalp, that's, I know, it does tend to be a thing. I hope I was gentle. I just try to hold things gently and take your time, not like rush through it and, set aside the time, carve out that space at least once a week to really do it right, and it'll save you some trouble in the long run.
All right, so let's go back to the sleeping. There's still some questions about maybe should we braid the hair or twist the hair to keep it from matting and frizzing in addition to wearing a bonnet at night?
Oh, braiding is great. If you can throw it in even a couple little, you don't even have to do like cornrow, fancy, anything. A couple of little braids here, like you could do 4 of them, you could do 2 of them. That's the best. And if before you braid it, if you do put some more conditioner, right? Put some of that in there, braid it up, conditioner water combo though, and then leave it overnight. That's going to be your best bet, especially for right here, because this area, it's just the area where when you wake up in the morning, it's going to be tight. That's just kind of how it is.
All right, keep chatting in your questions. I have got them all that are in there for now.
Perfect.
What about for little boys? So I have a little a 7-year-old, and he's got textured curly hair. Sometimes I feel like his curls almost start to go to sleep and we need to wake him back up. And so
Yes.
I wrote down all the notes about gel
Yeah.
or mousse. Like, what's the best product to kind of give his curls some life?
Curls to revive it. And a lot of times there is a texture. I'm glad you're bringing that up, because there are textures. Not every single texture curls, right? A lot of times it's almost so tiny, it's like a little zigzag. It's like very fractal thin curls. And so we think that, all the time it's got to look like this. It doesn't always have to look like that. To revive them, conditioner water first, coming in. And I probably would do a gel there, because I don't know, I feel like dudes are they're into the whole gel, it's a look. It's a whole look.
Don't think it's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, so we haven't heard a lot about shampoo. Is that a definite no?
Okay, so back in the day, we would say absolutely no shampoo, never shampoo. But shampoos now are made, so many of them are gentle. They're made without sulfates. And the new way of kind of doing things, especially in the Black community and with curl specialists, is no. I literally have a whole book that a couple girls, Black Curls Magic. If you guys want to dive in even further, these 2 women are amazing. And they have an online book called Wash Your Hair. And they have an explicitive in there somewhere, so I'm not going to say it. But they are awesome, you guys. And they really talk about the importance of getting in there and really cleansing the scalp. And it is fine to use shampoo. You just want to do gentle. There's so many sulfate-free options out there that you'll be able to find.
What about tips for a refresh day?
Refresh. So I call refresh the myth, but before you be sad about that. The thing is, less is more, right? So I'm always going to go back to get your water bottle, mix water and conditioner in it, spray it down, and do that same kind of pulling motion. You could take actually a curl by curl more like that, like this, to refresh. And if you've already got stuff on it, it'll reactivate that. It'll like bring that gel back to life. In these areas right here, especially around here, maybe underneath here, that might be an area some of my clients will section off. They take those areas in particular and they really wet them down and rake through conditioner again, especially right in here. So this might be the area. The rest you can kind of get away with that little water bottle. Maybe that is when you could use an oil just to kind of seal the ends. Very light. Don't go heavy with I'm gonna go get the thickest bottle of coconut oil. Please don't, because when you do that, you're actually building a water repellent on the hair over and over, and then it's hard to get rid of. So it's actually not helping you as much. So a light oil just to kind of smooth over to lay everything nicely would be fine, like a jojoba oil, cranberry oils, but nothing really, really heavy. You want to stay away from heavier stuff.
This next question is a great question. So ideally, we talked about kids washing the hair once a week. But
Yes.
what about your really super active kiddos that are out getting really dirty at the end of the day? They're covered. How do you make that
totally
balance?
fine to wash the hair every day if you had to. Like I said, there's so much new stuff, you guys, so much new information from the curl specialist kind of field world and research, and scalp health is just really important. So if you have the time and the patience and the energy and the head is itchy, or you're just feeling like, oh, this one's, been running around all day having fun, feel free to wash it every day if that's the time you want to invest. It's not going to hurt it and dry it out if you're using something that is sulfate free and that's more gentle. You could also do an actual co-wash during those off days where you take a little bit of conditioner, friction water right at the scalp, and kind of cut your time in half like that.
All right, this is a question about trimming hair. How often should you trim tightly curled 4A hair?
So my granddaughter's 4, we've never trimmed her hair. I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, but she really, that's how much she's like, oh, don't touch it. So if you can, and they're, on the lap, that's the most gentle way. Every once a year, every 6 months, it actually doesn't need it as much as you think at that young of an age. There's not, the split ends, a lot of times that's coming from like heat damage and color and all the things we do to our hair. When the kids are that little, they don't need it quite as much, but I always encourage self-trimming. Even though I obviously own a salon, so I shouldn't be saying that, but I do. Because when these kids are so little, I feel like they're just laying on your lap, and if you just kind of go out to the end and take a little, just kind of clean it up. It doesn't need some overall shape, at 2 years old or 3 years old.
All right, I think
All
all my
right.
questions.
Now I'm incredibly tall, so I'm gonna see if my head gets cut off. I know. Welcome to
I know, I'll be like this.
Here, I'll tell you when you're good.
Okay, very good.
There you go.
Okay, we're gonna do a couple more questions. So I'm gonna give you just a couple more minutes to jump in, but I have some really great news for you. So yesterday I was meeting with a whole bunch of certifiers talking about withlove, and they said, you realize this class counts for hours for foster parents. And I was like, as a foster parent myself, I'm like, this is amazing. I'm always looking for hours. So first of all, a lot of you signed up and got a wonderful email from Mariah that actually has the time on it in terms of like what we were going to go over. And we did that intentionally because that shows how long the class was. So if you want to print that out, that should work for certifiers. Second thing I want to highlight is, I hope you know this, but I'm going to keep saying it every time I see you. Every 90 days, every 3 months, please keep requesting from us. We know that seasons are changing. We know that kids are growing. Come and do those requests. Also, there are those boxes that you write in. We say, tell us about your child, about developmental needs or textured hair needs. You tell us. I mean, we don't always have everything because we are a nonprofit that is a lot based on the community, but we want to walk with you through this journey. So remember, keep asking, keep requesting. And then if your family continues on to guardianship or adoption, which I know isn't everybody's journey, even if your child is adopted, we will walk with you through the age of 6. So please don't feel like, okay, we've adopted or we have guardianship and we're done. No, we're together through the age of 6. So please do not stop requesting because we want to be on this journey with you. Now, Shalom, before we sign off, is there any last minute questions that have popped up?
There were no more questions, but these were fabulous questions. I love how educated the community is. This is amazing.
And what I appreciate to tell you too is that you say, this is our journey, right? It's not like, I finished it.
Right.
I mean, you say your hair looks gorgeous. I'm not going to touch it because we don't touch
Yes.
hair. That's something we know.
Yeah.
But I mean, even the look of it right now, and I bet it's in the process of drying, it looks so healthy and beautiful. So I am so thankful that so many of you tuned in. We will continue these classes because you and I are stuck together, my friend. Now you're amazing.
Yeah.
But if you wouldn't mind, just give us feedback. Let us know how we're doing. We're not the experts. And that's one thing at withlove is we know we are not the experts here, but we want to put on a platform, those people that are the experts, to help us. And it was great because I was talking to actually Tuesday's mom, and she said, hey, what about breeding classes? So those type of questions that you ask us, again, we're not the experts, but then we can go seek experts like Atoya to come in and help us as a community, because we know that dignity matters. And we want to be sending that message to our kids at all times. And for a lot of us foster parents, I myself included, I don't always know what the answers are. So asking those questions are really, really important. And with Love, we want to be that place that you can ask those questions safely. So that being said, we want to say thank you so much for your time tonight. We're going to end a little bit early, which I think that's a great thing. Thank you so much for saying yes to kids in foster care. Thank you for showing up to the With Love community, and keep reaching out. Have a good evening.